Union Square. Happy 420, everyone. Appropriately enough, we have as our esteemed guest, comedian Sarah Silverman, who's here to talk about her new memoir, The Bedwetter, stories of courage, redemption, and peace. Now, Sarah Silverman clearly needs no introduction. She is a Jew. And she's the very one who got boobies all over Florida to vote for Barack Obama with her great schlep viral campaign. She is quite the multifaceted talent. She won an Emmy Award for her original, heart-rending ballad, I'm Fucking Matt Damon. She's a former writer for Saturday Night Live and has appeared on at least one ex-boyfriend's late-night show, among others. She's also been in many movies, including the feature-length version of her own unforgettable one-woman show, Jesus is Magic. But these days, she is best known as the co-creator and star of the Emmy-nominated The Sarah Silverman program on Comedy Central. We are truly privileged to have her with us to share some singular moments from her extraordinary life. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the lovely...
I'm embarrassed, but my nose is running. Hold on. Yes. Good. All right. Thank you so much for coming. This is crazy, and I hope. I don't know. I have so many hopes. Okay. So I'm just going to read a few pages, like 3 pages. From a chapter called The Bedwetter, and then I'll do a couple Q&A, like super short, and then sign some shit.
Yeah!
The Bedwetter. P is for party. On August 16th, 1977, Elvis Presley saved my life. The previous afternoon, I played with my 6-year-old peers in Heather Peters' backyard. Heather was a toad-headed Aryan dream of perfection. She had one of those pageant moms who resolved that her daughter would be the princess she herself never was. Every other week, Mrs. Peters set Heather's long blonde hair in hot curlers and sent her to school in tight Shirley Temple banana curls. Heather despised this constant humiliation, but I'm sure she understood, as any first grader would, that having your head vandalized is a small price to pay if it can ease mommy's emptiness. Plus, her father built her this really awesome, gigantic jungle gym. I was blissfully helping myself to pizza and cake and to the backyard jungle gym when Heather asked me where my sleeping bag was. Heather explained, because I had somehow missed or perhaps willfully ignored, that this party was a sleepover. Fuck me, this is a sleepover? It's helpful to mention at this point that I was, and would be for many years to come, a chronic bedwetter. The word sleepover to a 6-year-old bedwetter has roughly the same impact of, say, liver cancer to a 40-year-old alcoholic. The moment the word is spoken, gruesome images of your near future flood your mind. At least with liver cancer, people gather at your bedside instead of run from it. I had one reliable means of escaping these situations. I'd explain that I needed my mother's permission to spend the night. I'd call her from somewhere with sufficient privacy, then rejoin my friends with the bad news that my mom wouldn't let me sleep over. But Heather eagerly stood right next to me as I called Mom, like a hostage with a gun at her temple. I put on an act to satisfy my captor. I pleaded with Mom to let me stay over. And not detecting my insincerity, she granted permission. Of course, sweetie, have fun. I won't offer much advice in this book, but here's one tip to bedwetters or parents of bedwetters out there. Have a code word or a phrase, like... So if your child calls and says, for example, your package from Zappos is on its way, or the man from Moldova wants more lemons, or just fuzzy dice, You'll know that your child is in danger of pissing herself in someone's house, and you should order her to come home at once. I hung up the phone, turned to Heather, and harnessed the moment. Let me start over. I hung up the phone, turned to Heather, and harnessed the momentum of my plummeting heart to sling it upward into a joyous, "She said yes!" It was settled. I would be sleeping in the same living room as Heather and about 8 other girls. By this age, I peed myself on numerous sleepovers, but here was a chance to do it with a substantial audience. The anxiety of the impending night took over. I felt like a zombie, like a paralyzed person in a mobile person's body, going through the motions of a child at play. I didn't bring my own pajamas or linens, so Mrs. Peters provided me a sleeping bag and a pair of Heather's way too sexy for a 6-year-old pajamas. They were like harem girl bottoms with a short cropped matching top. The anxiety of being in Heather's stuff was stress gravy on an already terror-filled plate. As the other girls drifted into their sweet little dreams, I pinched myself awake, constantly testing my bladder. Do I need to go again? I'll stay up until I go one more time. Of course, if you battle against sleep this ferociously, when it finally conquers you, it takes you down hard. The next morning, I'm the first to wake up. I am warm, which is a trick on people like me. I can stay in denial, lying perfectly still in the warmth, or test it by moving just the tiniest bit. I venture, rocking my body just slightly to the right. Ice-cold air whooshes along my body, and I freeze, heartbroken. I lay motionless, in panic and urine, for what seems like hours before the other girls start to wake up. I do the only thing a terrified zombie can do. I pretend it didn't happen. I get up with the other girls, take off my PJs like the other girls, and change into my clothes. They are so lucky to be able to move through life so effortless. Fuck me. They are so lucky to be able to move through life so effortlessly. I know at 6 how lucky they are. They probably still don't know. Mrs. Peters walks into the room, and before she can say anything, steps right into the pile of my sexy urine-soaked pajamas. My heart stops as I watch her face burn like red. My heart stops as I watch her face burn red like a Disney villainess. I need my glasses. Who did this? She screams with a look so scary, like when someone's eyes go wide but with no innocence in them, just pure fury. I stand there quietly enduring the world's youngest heart attack, wishing for my fear to somehow transport me. Am I supposed to answer? Is the onus actually on 6-year-old me to fill this silence? And that's when it happens. Mr. Mr. Peters comes in and grabs his wife. Elvis Presley died.